to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I please get a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
Motion made.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. At this point, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Dr. Harrison for his report and updates about the district.
Good evening. Are we on?
Yes. So we're having some technical problems tonight, as you can see. So this half of the table is sharing a handheld microphone. But with that said, I'd like to welcome everybody and wish everybody a happy New Year. We have a few things to share tonight. First is something exciting that we advertised and shared on our Facebook account. So if you haven't done so already, please like us on Facebook. But we're pleased to announce that our girls soccer team has just been recognized by the New York Public High School Athletic Association as a state scholar athlete champion, which means they had, of all the girls high school soccer teams in the state of New York, had the highest average GPA, a GPA that was a 98.83, which is extraordinarly impressive. We're certainly proud of our student athletes and, of course, all the work that they've done, the teachers and their coach Flynn. We'll be looking to recognize them hopefully at the meeting on the 22nd. We're trying to make arrangements from someone from the state to come in and acknowledge the team that evening. Also on the 22nd, we're planning on celebrating the accomplishments of our Main Street School students that won the spelling bee a couple weeks back. So we have a lot of good news that we'll be sharing on the 22nd. We'd like to share some updates on our principal searches. We're rapidly progressing through our search process. Ads began running this week in the New York Times and Education Week, which is a national education publication, and of course posted on OLAS, which is the online application system for educators in our area. We're following through on our interview plans that we presented in November, and Dr. Kaur is busy assembling the interview committees and organizing the public forums to develop our own leadership profiles. Thus far, we've established 2 dates for public forums that are going to focus on the high school principal, which will be Tuesday, January 15th at 7:30 to 8:30 in this very room, and then Tuesday, the 22nd at 10:15 a.m. at the public library. In those forums, we are going to seek some input from the community to help us define what they would like to see in our next leader of the high school. We're also going to have similar forums for school staff and students at the high school. More information will be released on the Main Street School process in the very near future as well. Just an update on Eastfield for everyone. Our environmental experts at Land Associates still waiting a few more sets of test results before they can begin to perform their final analysis and provide guidance to us, which then would lead to more meetings with DOH and DEC. So we certainly will keep everyone posted as information can be shared. We have the Main Street School Winter Concert coming up next Wednesday, the 16th, 7 p.m. in the theater. We hope you would join us. On the 17th, next week, we have the screening of the Bowling movie, which is sponsored by the Diversity Foundation. All of our students that are in attendance will receive free pizza, but we want to remind you it's a PG-13 film. So it's a target audience of our middle school and high school population, and would encourage parents to attend as well. Also that night, there will be a panel to discuss the topic of bullying, and Mr. Palermo will be one of the panelists that evening, along with other experts on the topic. And we will be also screening an IHS student original film, It Gets Better, which is a short that's kind of promote any challenges that people may face, and a national campaign that was started with a number of celebrities, and our students took some initiative and did that on their own here in the school. And then finally, we'd like to promote that this Thursday, 7 p.m. in this room, the PTSA will be sponsoring a coffee conversation with yours truly. So hopefully we'll have a nice turnout that evening, Ms. Hunt, and we'll have some good dialogue, talk about a number of the topics facing the district as far as budget, principal searches, and any other topics of interest to those in attendance. So we hope a lot of folks come out that evening and we have some real good dialogue.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. At this point, does anyone from the community have any comment on topics that appear on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, before we take a motion on the consent agenda, is there anyone on the board who would like to have any comments on consent agenda items or pull anything out for a separate discussion? I have, if nobody else has anything, I have one thing. We're accepting donations from some folks this evening that I would like to specifically acknowledge. First is the IEF, who continues to provide for the district and our students, and just as a short commercial reminder that the IEF Casino Night is coming up, Mr. Whitney, on 26th? January 26th. Good seats are still available, as well as poker chips, so please, I know both Mr. Whitney and I have wine that you can bid on and drink to your heart's content, so please go and spend a lot of money. Rare wine. Rare wine, very rare, and old. Very rare and old, like us. That's true. So I'd like to thank the IEF again for their grant. I'd also like to thank Nancy Messing and Mark Shedorowski for their donation, as well as John Montgomery and Ellen Weissman for their donation. So thank you, folks, very much for thinking about the district. With that, can I get a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda? So moved. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. At this point, I would like to again turn.
Try to go with this without a microphone and just project this evening. As Beverly and Elaine are setting up, if we kind of roll back the hands of time a little bit to our last Board of Education meeting, Beverly and I presented an overview of how we saw the budget, and I used the term a maintenance budget. I wasn't talking about fixing our buildings, but talking about maintaining the programs and services that we have available to our children. And in doing so, we went through an overview of the budget, what it would look like if we took everything we have today, taking into consideration estimates that we have for pension, health insurance premiums, employee salary increases, and so on, and kind of created a picture of where we are and recognizing the challenges that we face. And in doing so, we acknowledge that we're in a position that to be able to maintain everything that we have today, we're about $1.6 million over the budget cap. So we have a lot of difficult conversations ahead of us. But to help everyone understand what goes into the budget, over the next 3 Board of Education meetings, we're going to go through a series of presentations that's really going to break down what makes up the $52 million that's our budget. So we're going to go part by part. Today we're beginning with some information really on the business end of things, which is, of course, Beverly's expertise.
And if I could ask one question, just so, because we are overwhelmed this evening with community members here to hear the budget presentation. For those who will be hopefully viewing this by means of the computer through the district's website or on television, will the slides be available after this meeting so that the community can follow along?
Yes, these resources will not only be linked from our website, but board docs, and will be linked from our Facebook account as of tomorrow morning. So certainly we would encourage anyone not in attendance tonight to please review this important information.
Or everyone not in attendance tonight.
Not in attendance. But tonight, Beverly's going to walk us through some of the business side of our operations. Look at costs that are associated with the business operations in our district. We're going to look at debt service. We're going to look at buildings and grounds, maintenance, insurance, Board of Education costs, district office expenses. There's a lot of numbers. We broke it down to some really fine details. Beverly did an excellent job in preparing for tonight. So we're going to try to move through. This is going to be more or less Beverly's show because this is her expertise in her area tonight. But with that said, we'll pass it on to you, Bev, and I'll jump in as we go along.
Thank you. Okay, good evening. format of budget presentation that we did last year, and we're going to do it as a line-by-line item budget. So the first section that we're going to review will be the Board of Education expenses. You'll notice it has a $15,000 increase this year, and that's basically new services that we're adding to the budget. The Board of Education, on the other expenses, are dues that we are basically required to participate in, the filming of the school board meetings, board doc software, everyone's familiar with that now, the renewal. And this is one of the new items, the school board training and the board retreat. That was recommended to us by Hazard, Young, and Atia.
And also, I think to go a couple steps further, just as the board and administration is dedicated to further developing the skills and the knowledge of our teaching staff, the board is also committed to their continued growth. And a part of that process is going to be regular Board of Education retreats to deepen their leadership abilities and insights into education and leading the schools. But it's also tied to one of their objectives for this year.
Should we also, just because we use the word retreat kind of liberally, but in the outside world, retreat might sound like boondoggle, we're going skiing in Colorado. So maybe you can explain a little bit what a retreat actually entails, because we went to Mercy College last time and we ate cold food, so I think.
Well,
But it was supposed to be cold.
I'm not to blame for the food, but we did have some generous hosts down the street at Mercy College that opened up some of their meeting space to us free of charge. And in doing so, it was an opportunity for the board to really work very closely, to focus on what their objectives would be for the school year, to establish some parameters and expectations for the leadership team. And through that process, it was really a rewarding experience where you saw the board come together, engage in some real powerful discussion about their role as leaders, our relationship collectively as a leadership team, and to come to terms with what their vision is becoming for the school district, not only for this year, but to start to paint the picture of what we want to accomplish in the years to come. To think about not only what our schools are and the challenges that we face today, but the challenge that we know we're going to face down the road and what we want our schools to look like 3, 4, 5 years from now. So the first session was kind of the seed, starting to develop that energy and the momentum, develop some powerful goals, which we presented back about a month and a half ago, and were approved, and something that the board and leadership team are working towards now. But the next steps are going to be to continue that growth and to start to develop their collective vision for the district and to build their own capacity. We work with a consultant from Hazard, Young, and Tia, which is a leadership firm. Not only do they have a recruitment division, but they also have a very impressive training division where they come out and provide a lot of resources, which we've been pleased to take advantage of.
So to get back to the numbers for a second, the $12,000 was primarily the consulting firm. I mean, it just sounds like a lot of money. And I guess the question is, could we do it cheaper? Could we
The
just do it by ourselves?
$12,000 is the school board training and retreat, whatever expenses that would include renting space if you need.
But the bulk of the $12,000 is paying the consultants, or
It's for whatever is needed.
Yes, it's
what we
included.
were budgeting? I'm assuming you have something. I mean, it just sounds. I'm just again. It's interesting. I mean, question I guess is as we start going through this, maybe there's a way to do it cheaper.
There's other expenses associated with it, as we said, things related to school boards, but I would say the bulk of it is going to be dedicated to fees associated with the services that we are receiving as a leadership team. And every dollar is important to us, but I think it's something that we need to value those services to make sure that the board is getting the services and training it needs as well.
Could I just back up? I'm sorry, I was reading something and it was a little zoomed out. Am I to understand we paid Hazard Young $12,000 for the fall board retreat?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't know the figure off the top of my head, it was a couple $1,000
Okay.
for the session.
All right.
So the next category in the Board of Education is office supplies for the board office, and that's binders, envelopes, copy paper, etc. The The other expense for district clerk are all the expenses associated with the e-policy that is provided by New York State School Boards. We have an annual maintenance fee and annual updates. This year, the entire new expense of $4,750 is to allow us to hire school boards to do a complete policy review of our policy book to ensure that we are in compliance with New York State regulations and recommendations. And in this district, it has not been done since 2003, so it's been 10 years. And a lot of the regulations have changed in 10 years. The district clerk supplies are school law books. They're charged to this code for district clerk, but the school law books are actually purchased, and every district administrator gets one, principals, assistant principals, PPS, etc., but that's charged to. And again, office supplies. The district meeting is the annual meeting, and out of this code are paid the election inspectors, the cost of the voting machines, the legal ads which are required, as well as the printing of any brochures that are needed for the annual meeting. Supplies for the district meeting would be binders, pens, etc., the strips for the machines, as well as the specially printed official oath envelopes and absentee ballots. The next category is the chief school administrator, and that's a actual line item, contractual. The clerical salaries is not someone is not getting a decrease in wages. I have to explain that contractually all of our contracts have the option of individuals receiving either health insurance or a health insurance waiver. Anytime an individual is taking a health insurance waiver, it has to be charged to the salary codes as income. It's not chargeable under the fringe benefit codes. So therefore, this individual opted to not take the waiver and take the health insurance, so that's why it shows a decrease in that code. The equipment, other expense and supply line items remain the same. And just as general information, under other expense, chief school administrator are dues. They're for the superintendent as well as the district on the district level, as well as meetings and conferences, and all of these memberships are directly in line with all of the other school districts in Westchester County. There's nothing unusual there. The next category is the business office or finance department. The first line item is administrative salaries. Again, I had just elaborated on the health insurance waivers. This is the reverse. This one now is taking the health insurance waiver, whereas the other category was not taking it. The clerical salaries, those are contractual increases, including, if I remember correctly, there's one new longevity increase in there. Equipment is an increase of $9,000, and that is to purchase new lobby furniture for the business office. Actually, it's the district office for the entrance, as well as any office replacements that are needed in the business office, and that would be replacing filing cabinets or chairs or whatever needed in the business office.
May I ask, of that 9,000, how much is essential and how much is cosmetic? I mean, obviously the chair is falling out, so that's essential. Cosmetic is, you come in every day and it drives you crazy that there's a hole in the fabric.
Yeah, I would say that the furniture that we have is at the point where it's just falling below the category that we would say is serviceable. Chairs that truly can't sit in any longer, that are terribly stained. We could go without them, but we do that recognizing that it's the face of our district, and we really have, the furniture in this room is far nicer than anything that we have in the district office. You know, as we
bring that furniture up here and bring this.
no, we want our students and staff to have nicer equipment than us. But with that said, as we go through this process, we're identifying what we see as our needs. We recognize, as I said early on, that moving forward we have challenges, and we're talking about a figure of $1.6 million that we're going to be wrestling with. And in doing so, these are going to be all the things that we come back and revisit, of course. In the ideal world, we desperately need new furniture in that area.
Okay, thank you. Under business administration, other expense, out of this code, we pay the Omni Group for administration fees to administer our 403B plans. SWM Communications, that's for our emergency alert system. Everyone's familiar with that. CBIZ asset inventory fees. Annually, we have to have our assets re-inventory updated and provide data for depreciation to our external auditors, and it's included in the annual report. We also pay out of this code for financial advisors. We pay dues for the school business officials and bond administration fees for bond redemptions. We also participate in EdData, which is a bid purchasing service. We do cooperative bid purchasing. And the business office copier fees. You'll notice there's a slight decrease in that code this year. We were able to trade in a lot of our copiers. We traded in all of our copiers and renegotiated the contract so that we're saving significant money throughout the district on copiers. The BOSI services that we purchase are through Questar State Aid Planning Service, GASB 45 Compliance Service, and some of these are mandatory, like GASB 45. Finance Manager is our software program that provides all of our accounting and payroll systems. New York State Reporting Service, that's mandatory to provide annual financial reports to the state. And cooperative bidding service through BOSI. So we do cooperative bidding through EdData as well as BOSI. And just as an aside, if we're not using either one of those, we also use New York State contracts as well as the preferred sources. So that brings us down to the auditing category. The first two lines, external auditor and internal auditor, I have put dollar figures in there that are basically what I would call as placeholders right now. We have out in the general public RFPs for both of those positions, and the bid openings are within the next month. Once we evaluate the bids and the board awards the contracts, those figures will be adjusted either way, up or down, as needed. The claims auditor is a renewal of our existing claims auditor. She comes in twice a month and reviews all of the invoices and bills of the district before the checks are actually cut and distributed. Then there's the treasurer's salary stipend and the treasurer's supplies. And the treasurer's supplies would be the printed receipt books that are needed by the treasurer. Anybody has any questions, please stop me at any time. Next, we go to legal expenses. You'll notice that this year we're going to severely overexpend the budget. That is attributable to increased fees due to the Irvington Park settlement, which is now complete. It also includes all of the legal that has been involved with the East Field, which was unknown at the time of last year's budget, as well as a large increase in the tax certiorari and the court proceedings that go with that.
Does some of that Eastfield stuff get recouped?
It would depend on whether we follow the referendum.
But that's the idea.
We're going to do.
Okay. So next year's budget, we put in $284,000, which is lower than our current year expenditures because, again, we do not have Dearman Park, but there will be other expenditures coming, especially for the tax service. Personnel, the clerical salaries, you'll notice this year will be a little bit of an over expenditure in that category, and that is just a contractual item when someone had a bump in the middle of the year. So there's only about $1,000 difference between the actual salary for this year and next year. The other expense, and supplies and BOSI's recruitment staying the same. The other expense line includes our HR consultant contract. It includes classified ads for open positions, and that would be newspaper and brochure ads, and mileage reimbursement, and probably one HR workshop for personnel. Yes, that is Dr. Bowler.
Dr. Buller is the consultant that worked with the district last year. That did the analysis.
Board meeting?
Yes, yes, she did that.
So we're still, we have another deal with her coming this
She
year?
has been working closely with us, continuing the work from last year, providing some assistance to Dr. Core when necessary, to make sure that we're getting all of our ducks in order within the HR department, considering the many needs that were identified last
And
year.
we're gonna keep her on for next year as well.
Yeah, she comes in one day a week, and she's on basically 24/7 phone and email.
So we pay her for the year, is it
Yes, and they have
hourly?
annual contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you regard that as essential for next year?
I think it's been a critical support for us this year, and I think her guidance and interventions during some critical situations has helped us forego legal expenses, where we're able to gain necessary resources and guidance from her, as opposed to going to counsel for guidance and things that may go beyond what our retainers are.
Thank you. And again, personnel supplies, our office supplies, toner cartridges that are used in that office for fax machine and her computers. BOCE services related to personnel. We participate in the negotiations clearinghouse reports, and that is a compilation of all of the negotiated contracts within Westchester County and part of Putnam for reference purposes. OLAS, which is online recruitment service for instructional staff, and that's a statewide service, so you're getting quite a large coverage whenever you put a job online. It's been wonderful. Mandatory fingerprinting is done through BOCE, and regional certification assistance service. BOCE's aids the district and teachers with certification inquiries and if there's a problem. And also through there, BOCE's provides the printing negotiations clearinghouse. The public information line has gone down a little bit. We were able to reduce that. Those are more actual figures, and that is the printing of brochures, newsletters, and the BOCE service who does the writing of the brochures for us. Next is buildings and grounds, also known as operation and maintenance, and Gary Knowles is going to present that segment. Yep.
Good evening. This slide is basically the items that we're going to go through in my part of the presentation. We'll go through each item slide by slide. We'll start out with custodial staffing, which hasn't changed. We have 11 day custodians, 13 night staff, and a supervisor. Maintenance staff, we have a head custodian / maintenance person, Dallas Lane. For the most part, head custodial duties are what he handles most of the time. I am requesting a maintenance person to do maintenance throughout the district.
That works.
Okay.
Because we don't have a maintenance person right now. We do have head custodians and custodians that do have trade backgrounds, that do work outside of their normal job, outside of their normal field, and they do repairs, they do electrical, like plumbing, carpentry, you'll see that for Dow's Lane, I have quite a few tools.
You're good, why don't you give us the remote?
I'm sorry. You'll notice that we have quite a few tools. We have a sewer snake. I put that in the Dow's Lane category, but that would be used district-wide. We do have people that are capable of using it, and that would keep us from, I wouldn't have to call an outside vendor to come in and snake drains, as well as a skill saw, table saws, and multimeter jigsaw. The upright vacuums with wand attachments are just replacements for what we have. We've had them since roughly 2003, and we just need new. We've done all the repairs we can for new machines.
I think the mic is off when you put it in. There you go.
2-yard metal dumpster that would be for trash at the Dow's Lane site. We have a few that we had to get rid of because they rusted out and we couldn't use them anymore. And, we need to replace those. Main Street, they didn't really ask for much as far as equipment. Will, our head custodian, asked for a wet vac with a squeegee attachment. I'm sure some of you are aware we had a big flood on Main Street. We had to go throughout the district to get the machines, to get the guys there to clean up. They did a great job, as well as the teachers helping. A flatbed cart would be used to move items like copy paper and custodial supplies around throughout his building. On the campus, we're looking to replace our worn burnisher. We have a new floor maintenance program that we've been using in the high school and in the gyms. Burnisher that we now have no longer works and is beyond repair. So in order to keep up the floors, we will need that replaced. We also would like to replace our table saw. The table saw we have now is not safe, so I told the guys they can't use it anymore. There's no safety switches on it. Plug it in, it starts right up. You have to plug it to start. Rich requested 2 6-foot fiberglass step ladders. We have 2 on site. The issue is you have 2, one in this building and maybe one in the high school. You're working in the theater gym building. It takes time for you to go back and forth to get ladders and things like that. We're trying to just be more productive. We had the ladders in the area. They would work out better for our staff. We need to replace 2 2-yard metal dumpsters on this site. It's just that they're at the end of their lifespan, we need to replace them. Garbage men come in the morning and they find raccoons and other animals in the garbage and they complain to me.
You don't need a new coat.
On my walkthrough with Dave Sotal, the principal at the middle school, he requested 8 replacement trash receptacles for the beach wing in the middle school. During class changes, we noticed there's a lot of trash just thrown on the floor. The trash receptacles we have now, they're not large enough to handle the volume that's in that building.
I'm seeing Irvington PTSA branded trash or something. I can throw out an idea or anything like that.
Who knows? Who knows?
He also recommended that we replace the receptacles outside in the courtyard area. Right now we have the plastic blue recycling bins and they seem to walk off. Who's taking where they're going, I don't know. We need something that is harder to walk off the property. In our other expense code, the first item is vehicle maintenance, which was the trucks and some of the lawn equipment repairs. We do have one of our groundsmen that is capable of doing some of the work in-house, but often we have to send things out for maintenance. We also have a tractor that is getting near the end of its lifespan that may need some work, but as I said, we do have someone in-house that can do most of the purchase our fuel through the village, which saves us money. Years ago, we used to purchase for Mobile and the Shell station down on Main Street. We no longer do that. We also have a mop service that comes bi-weekly. They come, they take our old mops, take them out to clean, bring in new ones for the night staff to live in the classrooms.
Oh, could I just stop there? We spend $5,000 a year to wash our mops.
We do. We cannot wash and treat them in-house. Chemically treated for dust cleanup. I would imagine most school districts do that. School districts, I was going to work the same.
Consistent with my past experience in previous districts, you have them cleaned or you're replacing them because we don't have.
It just sounds like a great business to be in.
Southeastern chapter
School
zones.
districts, that's it.
We'll talk after the meeting.
Southeastern chapter zones. Students, those of you Director of Facilities Association that I'm involved with. We do a lot of networking with each other. Different directors from different school districts. Actually, Dr. Harrison and I are going to be going to John Jay on Friday to look at their campus layout, their high school layout, similar to ours, a little larger. They used to be, open walkways from building to building. They enclosed them. We want to get some ideas from that district. Tree service, we actually treat our last 3 remaining beech trees, one at each location. We do a bark disease treatment and a fertilizer twice a year at each location. We're trying to hang on to those trees.
I'd still rather be in the mop business.
I would too.
The AED and CPR annual training, that's something new. We just started in the past summer. All buildings and ground staff members, including myself, have been trained CPR and to use the AED. Workshops for right to know programs for the staff. We have $2,000 for that. That's an annual thing. Some of the vendors that we deal with have people that come in and do right to know. One of the things we do get charged for is asbestos awareness. I haven't done the vendor that will do that on the house for us. Architectural services, as you see, we need those, especially dealing with these fields. And then there's services as needed, that's sewer service, adding and replacing signs and equipment repairs.
Gary, how is that architectural services piece, that $2,000 different from?
That would be for items that come up in the middle of the year. For example, this year, Gary's code was charged for the analysis on the speed bump situation, as situations come up.
I see that you show on the other expenses, you show a $22,400 savings. Is that because basically just the amount that was previously budgeted was much more than has been spent?
Right. Some items got moved around in codes to make them more easily, they're put in their right places.
Got it.
I get the maintenance number, why it's going up so much, because you're adding staff, but why is the custodial number going up by $50,000 also?
Those are salary increases.
Salary increase, contractual salary increases.
So the cumulative salary increases like.
Right, that would include percentages plus longevities, new longevity rates, and the one maintenance person on the bottom line.
And then the $290,000 that you put in for repairs, you said it was transferred from code 80.
We haven't got there yet.
Oh,
We haven't
I
got there
think
yet.
finish the page, sorry.
No,
Okay.
that's okay. We
Sorry.
haven't got there yet. Utilities, we've left those figures the same as this year. You'll notice that we're not anticipating expending all of the $932,000. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for a mild winter. The fuel is $40,000 less But you'll notice that the gas for Con Ed is more, and that's because we have dual capacity boilers, and so we can trade off one to the other. So we left that right now at the same budget as the current year.
And we break down the cost for supplies for operations, the custodial supplies such as paper products, hand soap, and cleaning supplies. In the high school campus, at the high school, we actually kept that number the same. At the middle school, I raised it. I found that at the end of the school year, when we get near the end of the school year, we're searching for monies to find supplies over the last 2 years just to make it to the end of the school year. So I added $5,000 to the middle school. Middle school and high school, as far as I see, they're more of a shared, shared campus. So whatever we purchase for the high school, we've used in both locations. Dallas Lane remains the same. Main Street, I've added a few dollars also because near the end of the school year, he was borrowing supplies from other buildings, so we were a little short budgeted on that. District-wide, we remain the same. We kept it the same. So there's an increase of $10,000.
Is it, and I guess I understand the breaking it down sort of into the granular on a per building basis, but on something like, is it really necessary to break down, or what's the rationale behind breaking down cleaning supplies district-wide, for instance, or toilet paper district-wide? It seems to me.
In my past district, we did not. It's been historically done in this district. I don't know why it was, we're just bringing that forward, and it's been done that way, but in my former one, we never.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we have 30 boxes of toilet paper in Dallas Lane, we have done here, you're getting from Dallas Lane. So.
Did you go to law school?
People getting a little too detailed.
For the record, note that Mrs. Carter said that I was getting too detailed about something.
Okay, next would be maintenance equipment. Maintenance equipment, we'd like to purchase a new 4x4 pickup with a dump body and plow assembly. We had a 2000 Chevy pickup at the Main Street School that we passed inspection due to the amount of rust on the frame. The district found a online government online bidding, govdeals.com. We were able to sell that vehicle.
However, we could not replace it this year because this was not in the 2012-13 budget as an equipment line item, and you cannot just arbitrarily transfer money into an equipment code. So we had to wait, and we're short of truck, but we had to wait until the 13-14 budget to put it in.
So are we handling all our service needs with one less truck currently?
Well, we haven't had a major snowstorm yet, so, so yes.
Yes, we will be.
Yes.
So if we're handling our service needs with one less truck, why are we buying another one?
As I said, we haven't had a major snowstorm yet.
So what happens if we have a major snowstorm?
It's going to take a lot
The school
longer.
would be closed.
Yeah, it's going to take a
Well,
lot
all right,
longer.
then hold on a second. Why aren't we buying a new truck then? Why do we take the risk that, as Gary just said, we're gonna close the schools if we have a snowstorm because we don't have a truck to plow the snow because we don't have the money in a particular column in our budget to get a truck to plow the snow?
I don't think school would be closed, it may be delayed.
Delayed.
Okay,
Right.
not closed. But as I just said, under Ed's department, you cannot transfer funds from, for example, a supply code into an equipment code. Equipment lines are very strict under Ed law.
What if you have a board resolution to journal the
Then you
money?
have to reappropriate the budget, and take out of fund balance, and it would have to be a board.
So let's discuss that, because I think it's absurd that we run the risk that we're gonna delay school because we don't have a snowplow truck because it can't be moved from the left side of the piece of paper in a computer database to the right side of the paper. This is New York State Board of Education lunacy. So either we don't get the truck at all, or we take the action right now to replace the truck, or else we're gonna give Gary's phone number out when people are screaming that school's delayed for 3 hours. And I'm not kidding. This is kind of dopey. All right, so maybe the administrative, executive staff could figure a way how we fix this and not have a delayed school. I can't believe what I'm hearing.
We will explore what options we have before us, and we'll report back to the board as soon as possible.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Certainly don't want any dopey business in our.
God.
That brings us to building repair. District-wide as needed, those items are such roof repair, glass replacement, beach repair. I'm not going to go through.
And these, as we say, these are consistent with past year's expenditures.
Correct, correct. And then we jump into repair at the high school. I actually met with Scott Moseldahl to go over items that he requested for next year. And I also did a walk with Dr. Harrison and Richard Torrey. As you can see, most of the items on that list are basically painting and wall repair. I'm not going to go through it, but if you have any questions, I'll address them.
Are the electrical and light pole repairs along the high school road?
It would be along the high school road. Actually, we have a light just ordered today outside the theater gym building that needs to be replaced. And then there's parts for a light fixture at the bottom of the stairs that were ordered also.
You asked about high school drive?
The high school
Well,
drive?
not high school drive, that would be
That's with the village.
along the lot.
That's the safety routes grant.
Right, that's something that should take place, I believe, early summer.
I see, okay.
At the middle school, I met with the head custodian and Mr. Sotile, and he also requested painting. We started a painting program in the A and B wing last year. They were completed. He'd like to move up to the C and D wing, as well as do the stairwells, the assistant principal's office area, staff lounge, and all the classrooms in the C and D wing.
Can you just explain, Bev, that particular account code 1621-400, because we budgeted 100,000, we're going to spend 85, but next year we're requesting 213, but I thought you said, or Chris said, that was consistent with what we did in the past. It seems like it's
Again, we moved some
right.
monies around, especially under the line items district-wide, okay,
That's-
the electrical and some of the other expenses we moved down here because that's where they really belong.
So you moved them down from, sorry.
Okay.
So what we're looking at, I think Mr. Whitney's question is, when we look at this code in general, we're seeing an increase. My reference, Phil, was that things that were consistent with was what was referring to the district-wide repair services that are identified on the top portion of the slide. The other
Right.
things are things that we're opting to do. So I think
If you'll,
the question is, when we're looking at figure,
right there, if you look at those two lines, the district-wide building repairs and the contractual maintenance services, which we're going to go over now, see the difference? One is down by 157,000, one's up to 113. So it's actually a negative 40,000.
But I thought the contractual maintenance services were going down because we're hiring a maintenance
That's
person.
what I thought too.
I didn't think it was contingent on,
No, some of the, under contractual maintenance services last year were some of the electrical repairs, plumbing repairs, et cetera. And they really, Gary and I talked about it, and they really should go under district-wide building repairs because they're not contractual. So contractual maintenance services, that's Gary's next slide he's going to present, are basically contracts for annual services. It's not as needed services that would be building repairs.
So net, there's a savings.
Net, there is a savings which is offset by the increased maintenance person.
Right.
So,
We get the maintenance person for free.
I like the way you're thinking.
okay. So we're still doing some budget cleanup.
Now, on the campus, on Mazzaro's Field, last year we started twice a year, a birdie drainage, deep aeration of the field. And it seems to have given us more playtime. Unless we just have monsoon rains, we're getting more playtime on the field.
Gary, just out of curiosity, how far does that aeration go down to the ground?
10 inches.
10 inches? Okay.
And it vibrates, so it loosens up slightly in that 10 inches. After that's done, our staff will fertilize and reseed the fields. At Dallas Lane, add privacy partitions, cafeteria bathrooms, and 2 bathrooms off the cafeteria that are used by the students, and if anyone walks in and someone's using their facilities, they have no privacy, so that was one of the things that the principal requested. We also requested replacing the gym doors inside the lobby area near the principal's office. Right now, they're a wood door, the original doors, original hardware. They don't look great and they don't work well, and now that we're doing lockdowns and that sort of safety, we have safety issues with those doors. We'd like to repair them and make sure they work properly. The boiler room has an exterior door that's pretty much rotted out. It's really not there. It has to be replaced. Door and the hardware so we can secure that. Make sure we don't have anyone accessing our building. Right now we have a gate above that's locked down so no one can access the building. We have to get in there and we don't have the key. We may have to cut that lock if it's an emergency. Installation of window shades in the new wing, first and second floor. This is an item that was supposed to be done this year, but we had boiler issues, or we have boiler issues at Dallas Lane that soaked up the funds for that, so we're going to revisit that for next year.
Can I ask, were there lines bought for the cafeteria?
They were not. They were not. That money went towards the boiler.
So how come that's not on here?
You know what, I just missed that. Replacement of the 12 by 12 ceiling tiles in the new wing corridor. We have spline ceiling in that corridor. If you need to work above the tiles, once you remove the tiles, it's almost impossible to put it back in. So we'd like to remove those and put in a drop ceiling with 2 by 4 tiles. We started that and we're just working our way down the hall. And eventually we'll go up to the second floor and do the same. Exterior painting repairs on the archway, overhang at the new wing entrance of the Dallas Lane School. As you walk down the stairs, you have that archway that leads into that new lobby that needs repair. A lot of chipping, the loss of stucco, and the sheetrock is in disrepair. The principal asked that we look at painting the corridors on the first and second floor of the old wing, as well as to start painting classrooms. So I picked just one side of the hall to do for the upcoming year, and then we'll jump to the other side following.
What's your guess on the last time these areas were painted?
2009, those areas were painted. We had fire, and right after the fire, those were painted.
So we're painting every 3 years?
Not 2000, I'm sorry, 2000.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And that was right after the fire at Dallas, when we had a dumpster.
Okay.
Main Street School, fire-resistant window draperies. Those were also supposed to go in this year, and we didn't have the work that has been done or has been done on the boilers at Dallas Lane. Removal of the existing gym dividers at Main Street School. There are the partitions that divide the gym. They no longer work. They need to be removed. We'd like to put in a drawer curtain so we don't have any mechanicals, gym teacher, or whoever uses the gym, to just walk the curtain along. We won't have to have that inspected once that's replaced. Hopefully at some point we'll do the same at Dallas Lane. We started a painting program at Main Street. We started on the ground floor. We're up to the third floor, and we actually did one room after the flood. So we have 6 more rooms that need to be painted on that floor. Restoration of the main entrance at walls, floors, and stairwell and stairs. That's at the entrance inside the wooden doors at the front of the school. I don't know what happened to that area, but it really needs some attention. And I don't think we have the staff, nor do we have the machinery to bring that back to where it should be. Replacing the window blinds in the computer lab. And I'm told by Dr. Kaur that this is an issue throughout the building. The windows were replaced, I believe, in 2003. They didn't replace the blinds. And the original windows had a blanked panel on the top. The new windows have glass, so you can't darken the rooms. When you need to darken, use your smart board. So we'll start there and we'll move on room by room or rooms by room. Replacing the carpet in the principal's office. The carpet is worn, it just needs to be replaced. We're going to have a new principal.
Who wore it out?
We're going to replace those with carpet tiles, so if there's any damaged areas, we can just replace those areas. Maintenance contractual, this is what we talked about earlier. These are contracts. Security of fire alarm monitoring, that's done by Sparkle Security. That's done on a daily basis. Kitchen hood and duct cleaning, that's done here at the high school campus. We do that twice a year.
You know, Gary, I don't think you need to go through these individually unless anybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maintenance inspections, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I would say same thing. It's self-explanatory. And then these are necessary costs.
Let me take this one.
This one might be a little weird.
This one, this is the line item that's a new addition to this buildings and grounds part of the budget. It's always been in the budget. It's $290,000 in this year's budget, but it's under interfund transfer to capital fund. The interfund transfer to capital fund is really if you're putting it over to a reserve fund for capital, which is referendum. And this district does not utilize that tool for capital funds. So you are basically in your annual budget, budgeting a certain amount for, as you used to call it, the master plan, but it was for an annual expense. You planned on doing X, Y, Z during that specific year. So it's really an annual expense, does not need to be transferred to a capital fund. This is where it belongs. So I've left that line the same amount as the current year, $290,000, and that would be covering, as needed, any repairs or upgrades other than maintenance projects. Gary just elaborated maintenance, which is painting, etc. This would be lighting upgrades, heating control upgrades, window door replacements, moving the district office, security upgrades that we're now looking at in the buzzer systems and swipe cards. Some or all of the items that could come under this code might be eligible for state building aid. Don't have to transfer it over to capital fund in order to be able.
Is there any benefit to doing it this way versus the other way?
It's legal.
It's what?
It's legal.
It's inappropriate.
Okay. Is there, do we have a line item cost associated with moving the district offices right now?
No, we do not. We were going to take some of the projects where the money had not been fully utilized for those specific line items.
You mean for next year, or in this?
From prior years,
Okay.
before my time.
So we've been carrying it over for prior years on the budget, and you're thinking we might be able to
Right.
redirect some of it? in
Right,
the
and I have
14,
elaborated
14 budget?
all of that with the Buildings and Grounds Committee as to where the certain projects had not been fully expended. Decisions had been changed, some items were originally put in and are no longer needed, et cetera.
Does this accounting strategy, so to speak, replace the interfund transfer
Yes.
mode? And so we're getting rid of that very confusing
Yes.
accounting process
Right.
that I've never quite understood.
This way, it's in the Buildings and Grounds budget. If you don't use it that year, it goes back to
It
the
goes back to
fund.
the general fund.
Right,
Fine, that's great.
okay?
So the net impacts on the budget overall is the 290 is a transfer, right?
Right,
So we subtract the 290 off the 4.
right, and that would be what your new expense increase is for Buildings and
Right, but
Grounds.
where I was working it down is actually when you make all these changes,
Yeah.
the 52,000 is for the cost of the custodial staff on the very top sheet.
Mhm.
That number is contract. That has,
Yes.
we have nothing we can do about it. The
Right.
$35,000 is the truck, which we talked about. So
Right.
net, I think Gary's whole budget here only goes up $45,000. Because I did the math before. It's, if you take
Thank you.
412 and you subtract off the 290, the 52, the 35, another 45,000.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll continue on now with the messenger and mailing code. Last year, we changed procedures district-wide. Every building used to have their own postage meter. We changed that to have centralized printing and centralized mailing. So that is the cost of our part-time messenger. Other expenses, postage, and that's standard, price of stamps is what it is. The rental of machines is a 5-year contract. We're saving money on the mailing permit because we no longer need a mailing permit for each building. So we are still saving a little bit of money due to that change.
That, can you just go back? If you just go over that line item 190 and explain to me what salaries, messengers.
A messenger, he works 5 hours a day, and he picks up the mail throughout the district. He comes to our district office, runs it through the postage meter, takes it to the post office, goes to the post office, picks up the mail, distributes it throughout the buildings, plural. So he works 5 hours a day doing mail.
Well, it's worth it.
Yeah, as well as distributing the board packets. And then the other service that's needed. He's our messenger. And I think it's $15 an hour. I think it's $15 an hour.
Okay. For a second, I thought we hired a messenger to hand out teacher salaries, and I was like, that's not really a good idea.
No, no. If anyone's getting, the checks are sent in a lump, rubber banded to the
I
building.
understand, it's a messenger service for
Yeah.
district.
Okay, next is special items. Insurance, the first line item is through NYSER. They handle our property and casualty, all of our insurance. And that, again, is a placeholder. That is my estimate of what the increase will be. Once we get a final figure, which hopefully we'll get around April, then that item will change up or down as needed. Sewer tax remains pretty stagnant. The BOCES charges,
Just the word sewer.
BOCES charges are definite figures. Those were given to us by BOCES, and that's their administration fees and capital fees that are allocated over all of the districts that are members. Next is transportation. The first line item is .3 for district transportation director. The transportation coordinator is our quad service with Ardsley School District. You'll notice an increase there, and that is basically attributable to our increased enrollment. the total contract is broken down throughout the quads on a per pupil basis. Therefore, as our enrollment has increased, Joe is estimating that our portion will go up.
Because their enrollment is not expected to go up.
Correct.
Because of what?
Because we have increased enrollment.
We have 40 more kids.
It's all formulaic and it's spread out, the operational costs are spread out about prorated across the district, all the partner districts.
Like us.
Okay, it's not a per capita, it's gotta be an accelerated formula, because that number doesn't pi our square with our enrollment and the increase.
Well, there would also be a cost of living raise for those individuals, plus, throughout the contract.
Oh, so there's some cost of living stuff and contractual, it's just not
Right.
increasing per capita, okay.
Yeah, the entire contract over the quad is apportioned on a per pupil basis. The BOCES, I have to direct you to two lines here. The BOCES line is for contractual transportation for handicapped children that is provided by BOCES. You'll notice that line item, we're not expected to expend $131,000 this year, we're going to expend, we think, $45,000. If you'll look down a few line items where it says transportation and special education, we're going to overexpend that code by $410,000. We are still saving money this year. Joe has taken some of the children off of the BOCES buses and put them on our contract buses, and we are saving money because BOCES has a different formula, especially the monitors for the special ed children. So we're saving money doing it through our contractor.
We're spending, the increase is less.
Right. Between those two codes, we had budgeted like $516,000. We're planning on spending like $455,000.
Good.
So we're saving some money there. The in-district and the private schools, those are anticipated increases, and Joe gave me these figures based on CPI. And that's hopefully anticipating that our current contracts will renew at CPI. If they decide not to and we have to go out to bid, those figures could also change. The special ed, you'll notice a significant increase into next year. This year, we've had some additional special ed and some additional private transportation students mid-year. So we've only incurred part of a year of expenses. Next year will be the full year. Also on my next slide, I don't want to show you that. On my next slide.
Wait, I saw that, Maria, do you have a question, Robin, on this? You look like, I know your voice is hoarse, but,
Why is in the private schools, why is it down by 70,000?
From 705 to 635.
Joe's been consolidating routes, and that's,
Have we been realizing that savings this year, you're saying?
yeah, those are my estimates of what we're going to expend.
I have to say that the relationship in our consortium has worked very well. There's been tremendous communication between their leadership and Beverly and my office, and they're constantly trying to find ways to consolidate routes, to do things more efficiently. And it is resulting in the savings you see there. What Beverly mentioned before with the BOCES change for special ed transportation, bringing it to our contracted services. So wherever possible, we're trying to provide the best service we can for our pupils or the children that we're responsible for transporting. And at the same time, Joe and staff have found quite a bit of savings for us over what was budgeted last year.
well, just on that one line item, you're talking, what, Jim, 15%? I mean, that's exactly what we wanted to do.
Did any of the private school kids get moved to the special ed fund?
Not unless they were newly classified.
Well, I'm just curious, yeah. I mean,
For example, some of the routes that were consolidated.
It got reclassified, but
No, it would be
Okay.
basically a consolidation of routes, going, combining routes. together.
And where possible, some private routes have been consolidated with special education routes as well.
It's about 5%.
Right, well, but looking at the numbers, it looks like, I'm wondering if some of it is that, like what you're saying. If some of the routes got consolidated together, then the numbers would, and that might make those numbers look a little bit, those are pretty significant swings for both of them.
Efficiency.
And the last line item states field trips. There's a very small portion of that total budget that's actual field trips. The majority of that line is for athletic trips. And we're leaving that the same. Overall, for the transportation budget, I want to point out a couple things to you. There are potential budget savings that were presented at last year's budget task force. And they're still on the table, and the board can opt to discuss them or not. There's the removal of all bus monitors, and that would be bus monitors for our district buses, in district, for our schools, with the exception of special ed children. The budget task force also recommended the reduction of one bus at Dow's Lane. I don't know if that's still a viable option because we've had such an increased enrollment there. So I really don't know about that. And the last one is increase the distance for ridership, and that would require a referendum. If the board was going to decide to put that out to the voters, we would need to make a decision probably fairly soon so that we can put it out to the general public to be included in the May vote. Of all of those options, I think the first one would be the one that probably needs to be addressed most seriously.
Yeah, I think on those, Ray, please.
Can you remind us again, who doesn't have bus monitors around here?
All of the school districts do not have bus monitors. Dobbs Ferry,
We the only
Hastings,
ones?
Hartley do not have bus monitors. They only have bus monitors for the special ed children where they're IEP required.
Yeah, and I would I know the board has looked at this, we looked at this last year as part of budget season, we've even discussed it this year, and I think that the feeling of the board was, as Bev said, the Dallas Lane issue I think is taken off the table because of the increase in enrollments, it doesn't make much sense. Increasing the distance for ridership eligibility, I think the board felt that going with a referendum to the community would really not be supported because of the size of the community and what that would really do to busing in Irvington. So if anyone on the board wants to revisit the bus monitor situation, I think we should do that now, as Bev suggested. I mean, I'm personally not in favor of that, considering why we had bus monitors in the first place at Irvington, but it is a potential of $100,000 savings, but I do think if we're going to go down that road, it's something that the parents are definitely going to need to weigh in on.
Can I just say that I think it has to be viewed in the context of the overall reduction that Chris and Bev are going to have to contemplate. Because remember, when you add up the $1.7 million to the tax cap number, we're somewhere, I don't remember exactly, but in the neighborhood of 5% increase year over year in our budget. And I don't think this board wants to put a 5% increase to the public, so there's going to have to be some cuts that are contemplated, hopefully not of a staff variety. And so something like this will start to seem much more attractive in the context of that problem, as opposed to just looking at it right here and saying, do we want to part with bus monitors and risk and deal with those risks? I think it's got to be viewed overall as one of those things that's on the table. That's my opinion.
Well, in addition to what Phil was saying, it's my understanding we have a decent amount, or some of the buses in our routes have video cameras in them now. Okay, so we now have belt and suspenders issues on the bus. We have a monitor, a camera, a bus driver. I don't, at what point do we say maybe we don't need all the bus monitors? Maybe we only need half as many, and if that means it translates to a $50,000 savings, maybe we do consider that. I think we should talk about it.
Yeah, the one thing about that, on that issue, we did talk about that, and I think we can't go halfway, because it's the same people on the same buses doing multiple routes.
Well, I don't mind,
Yeah.
I don't mind considering cutting $100,000 because what, as it looks, for the way I view it, it saves a teacher's seat, okay? I also would like to understand relative to Dow's Lane, are our buses going to Dow's Lane full? If we've got our buses half full, then I would love to see Joe give us what a new bus configuration would look like to have the buses full, all right? I mean, that's, to me, if we're trying to create a savings to try not to present $1.7 million over, but maybe 800,000 over, these are things we have to consider. I would like the information, and that's all, and then let us decide. Because right now, one line here, do we want to do it up or down vote? I don't know if we have enough information on that.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting up or down vote on it. I do think as part of the transportation discussion last year, we did get the numbers on the monitors and also about Dow's Lane, because you have to, again, not that I'm an expert, but you can't go on actual ridership, you have to go on potential ridership. And so even though we know, right, that many parents actually
Well,
drive
even
versus.
if you reduce the bus, it's really not based on ridership, it's really based on reconfiguring all the routes, and every route's gonna take longer, and all the kids are gonna.
Yeah, there was a lot of things
earlier,
that went
so
in.
the actual number
I
of
forget
bodies
we have
on
to
it
provide
is
seats for
that.
kids that don't ride.
No, but my real point on the $100,000 is that I agree with you. It's a number that clearly, with a budget that's going to go over $1.7 million, $100,000, it's a big number. My only point is that when you're looking at cuts, my gut on this one is if we're going to do it and people find out we're going to do it, this is going to become a bigger issue than just a regular cut that we would make or something that some other efficiencies that the administration may find. So I'm just suggesting that if we're really going to go down this road, let's hit it early. Go ahead.
Maybe relative to this discussion about monitors and we're the last man standing with regards to having bus monitors, if you could call some of your colleagues in different districts and find out, how bad was it when they got rid of monitors?
We did some of that.
We've done that
I
already.
did that
What did
already,
they
and
say?
I had that review.
We did that.
I did that, and I contacted them all, and Dobbs Ferry had 2 minor problems the first couple of weeks, and then they were solved. Hastings had no problems. Ardsley said they didn't have any problems. I remember the quad names. I contacted a couple of districts whose names escaping now, but I have the paperwork in my office that I went down through the summer, and I called them.
Well, that kind of says something to me.
I feel that what Phil said is so on point, which is, I almost think we need to be keeping a running list as we're going through all these presentations. And I think the message to the community is, yeah, monitors might be on the list this year. And, that's, I think, the most that I'm certainly willing to say today. I mean, in a perfect world, no, I don't want to get rid of monitors. I think they do serve a really good purpose, and they make the buses safer, and there's all these great things about them. But it seems that as we do these presentations, for sure, you guys are, you keep a running list of it, and then I'm sure incorporate that when you present
Well,
your
that's
superintendent's
why I
budget.
put it on here, just to remind the board that it's
Right.
still open for discussion.
Right.
And also what the administration's recommendation would be with respect to the monitors. I think that would be good to hear as well.
I was just gonna say, if people feel strongly about wanting to keep monitors in the buses, they should come here and speak. They're not here tonight, but they can come next week, or rather 2 weeks, and we can come after that.
And everyone has feelings out there.
Sure,
constituencies
absolutely.
That are for it or against it, so, I think, again, it's kind of early to say one way or the other, but definitely, I think it's gotta be out there this year.
We heard from French proponents last year. I'm sure we'll hear from monitor proponents this year.
Those, I was outlining potential budget savings. I also wanted to make you aware of some potential budget increases that could impact the transportation budget. If we have the addition of 1 special ed student, it's usually about $50,000, because usually a special ed student also has a monitor. An additional private school student is between $18,000 and $20,000.
For transportation.
Yes.
Do we,
I didn't think that.
how does it work with parents that, starting summer kids in private school, is there a date at which they tell the
April
district?
1st.
April 1st.
April 1st.
And we voted to approve this in March.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there was a way to actually even put that out to the community, like,
Yeah.
you know, if you guys know you're sending your kids to private schools, you could let us know by an earlier date, just as a, you know, to be nice to us, that would help us with the budgeting. Because if we could get a few of those answers, then it would definitely help us.
Bev, just to understand this potential budget increases, the special ed student would result in 50,000. That's the private car kind of going to an individual school with a monitor.
With a monitor.
All right,
Yeah.
and the private school approximate cost, how do we arrive at 20,000?
It's usually 18 to 20, depending on the school. And I put that figure in because that's an overall average. If we're going to a new school, or a lot of the contracts are negotiated on a per pupil rate. For private school, it's not per vehicle, it's per pupil.
So, are you telling me we pay, because of this, the way the contract's written, we'll pay $20,000 to have a student shipped to a private school?
So I think that the way, I think the way it works is, it might be per pupil, but it used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, it used to be a percentage of the ridership of the bus. So if
It is
additional.
apportioned over the quad, but it's a per pupil, and what they do is they allocate it back to per pupil to the district.
Right, but it's not like there's a flat fee per pupil. So like if there's a bus and it's got 6 kids, right, so say 6 kids from Irvington going to Hampton, 6 kids from Dallas Ferry going to Hampton, they would pay 50/50. If we come up with a 7th kid, then all of a sudden it's, wait, that's not easy.
Right,
to do.
and it shifts all the time, because right now, we have a bus that, we have one route that's under discussion, that has 3 Irvington students, 1 Ardsley student. And right now, we're picking up 75% of that route. So it's under discussion whether we want to have a separate route. We would pick up 100% of that route. That would severely impact the other school district, because now they have to get a new bus for that other student, where they were paying 25% of a route, they have to pay 100% of a new bus.
Hard.
And that,
Exactly right.
well, that
Busing hardball, I love
that can flip,
I know.
you know,
Right.
that would flip the scenario.
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes. Again, a lot of the budget is fluid because we deal with a very fluid enrollment.
Okay, we apologize, we took you off on a bit of a journey there.
Debt service. This is where the most significant budget change is this year. We have a bond who is maturing this year. We're making the last payment. Remember, I think I told the board, it was about $550,000. So that is reflected in these figures. Here's the detail of the bond payments. Give me 1 second. Because a question was presented to me as to whether we could refinance, also known as refunding some of the bonds in order to save money on the interest rates. Our interest rates currently, you'll see that column, are from 3.79 to 3.92. One of the bonds is not callable, and I'm going to go down the list. The first one, the $15 million one, is not callable until August 2014, at which point then it would only have $7 million left that could be refinanced. The next one is not callable ever. The largest one, the $34 million, is not callable until April 2016, at which point then you could refinance $24 million. That one was already refunded once, so I don't know how long you would want to extend the payments on this building. The next one, $1.7 million is not callable until 2017, at which point you could refinance $1.4 million. And the last one is not callable until 2018, when it would only have a balance of $600,000 left. So as of right now, none of the bonds are callable.
You said 2014 call for
The
what's the
2014
first one?
Yes, August 14, so that would be the 14-15 budget, it would not impact the 13-14 budget.
It seems like, I mean, Jim, please, if I'm wrong, it seems like the real circle here, the B would be for the most impact would be the 14.5 or whatever, at 14. But
That's the only one that's even on this radar.
But yeah, right, on our radar, but going forward, the 34 million that would be.
In 2016, you could refinance 24 million and extend your payments out even further.
Well, but I guess the question is, would at that point, if the rates are so low, you'd just be able to advertise the debt quicker?
I don't think so.
You don't
I
think so?
think we should, see, this is something that we call our financial advisor. And he comes in for free and presents a strategy to us. We don't pay for it, and he does this all day long, and I just refinanced debt up at another school on the board that I'm on, and we just refied $7 million.
Were they callable or not callable?
They were callable, we brought a financial advisor, he did everything.
These are not callable.
I understand it, but next year, we will be having this discussion on 14
Yes,
million.
on the one.
Other than that, there's nothing to do.
Right.
Now, I would like to know what sinking fund possibilities they have in these. More than likely not, there are not any, but there are other provisions in bonds that allow issuers, us, to buy them back, okay? So that's again why you bring in the financial advisor. He pulls out the prospectuses and looks at it with a microscope and says, this is how we can do it. And his recommendations to us don't cost us anything. Only if we implement it do we have to pay him a fee. So that's, to me,
Okay.
and more than likely, it's going to be next year's discussion for 14 million.
Our loan payments, for the ERS loan, the final payment's not until 2015-16, so we have 2 more years on that, the 20,000. And the installment purchase for computer technology, those are spread over 5 years. That's our payment this for 2013-14. Here is the spreadsheet on the lease purchase for computer technology. And you'll note that it's going down a bit for 2013-14 as compared to the current year. And that's because we have been borrowing less every year, almost every year. The borrowing that is going off was $330,000. This current year, we borrowed only $179,000. I think I am guessing that a lot of that is due to the lowered cost in computers and printers, et cetera, over that 5-year period. But we
That's
don't know.
tied to the declining share price of Hewlett Packard.
You'll notice that for 14-15, there's only 4 years, or 4 payments in there. There will be a 5th during the spring. There will be discussion with the technology department as to their needs for the next purchase agreement, which would be another 5-year agreement. And that payment would not be until 14-15, so we need to address those needs at this time. So that shows an 11% decrease, and again, the majority of that's due to the retiring bond. Here is the interfund transfer. The first line item is the transfer to special aid fund, and you duly note how over budgeted, over spending we are this year. That's because beginning this year, unbeknownst to everybody other than the state education department, districts are now responsible for 34% of the tuition paid to state-supported schools, which was a new unfunded mandate found only in that tiny fine print of the new law from last year. It was not on the front page of the newspaper until we received the bills. So we have to cover that expenditure now, so that's why there's an increase of $47,000 in that line item. The
What
transfer,
are we paying for?
we have to pay 34% of the tuition for state-supported schools where we place a child into the New York State Institute for Special Ed, School for the Deaf. I don't think we have one going to deaf now. We do, okay. but it's those special state-supported schools.
Gotcha.
The line item that I elaborated on before, buildings and grounds, 290,000, you'll see it's eliminated from this slide because, again, I didn't change the dollar amount to 90, it's just moved over to buildings and grounds. Therefore, all of my presentations.
Therefore.
All of the presentations tonight result in a budget of $12,609,000. I did notice before leaving the office tonight, there is one typo. Is it in there? No, there was one typo. We corrected on this slide, but it's not on your sheets. So, the
Are we supposed to catch it?
well, it's the bottom line, the interfund transfers. It originally said 370,000 for the 2012-13 budget, it's really 360. So, with all of the presentations tonight, if we were to ever have the remainder of the budget in the same predicament, we would have a negative increase. This is the good news tonight. Next section will be the bad news.
So we should enjoy this while we can.
Yes, definitely. Next presentation will be special education and athletics.
But a couple of 2 slides earlier, there was something called pension loans.
Yes, ERS pension loan, that was before my time. That was a small amount which apparently this district agreed to amortize over, I think it was probably 9 years or something. And that would have been when there was a certain number of individuals who at that time were able to join the system and get retroactive on their membership. And the school districts were then liable for those back earnings, pensions.
How long ago did that happen?
Again, I would guess it was probably 9 or 10-year amortization. And we have.
Nobody was here.
Yeah.
Nope.
So if it's about 20,000 a year, I would say it was probably about 200,000 at the time, and they were paying it off 20,000 in a year, which doesn't hurt as bad as 1 year.
All right. I'm just curious. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, and then I'll open this up to the community in 1 second, but just, I think this shows, I think it was a wonderful presentation. I think the only way to understand what the board and the district is dealing with in trying to formulate a budget is to go through it code by code, line item by line item, and understand what's being spent and what it's being spent on. And I'm disappointed, but I guess every year I seem to be disappointed early on in that the community does not participate. And then in April, somebody comes in, and Mr. Stern will help restrain me when it happens. And they'll say, I think you're spending too much on custodial. And we have to look at the custodial budget. And we'll say, we spent 2 hours, a couple months ago going through all of this. And that's why I hope people are utilizing the television to watch this. And Howie, please tell the community how wonderful this was so more people will show up. But that's my...
Or get ready to be the sergeant at arms.
Exactly. We're going to put it this way. Thank you folks very much. Thank you very much. Is there anything from the board? Is there anyone from the community who wants to ask any questions regarding the presentation? All righty. Hearing none. Does the board have anything else that they want to speak about this evening? Our next meeting will be Tuesday, January 22nd at 7:30.
Before you
I'm
adjourn,
sorry?
I just personally want to commend
sorry.
Beverly for her hard work, and if you can imagine the time that she put into going through all of this, and the reductions that you see don't happen by accident. There's been a very close work with Mr. Knowles. As you know, their combined leadership in that area has made some great strides in the district in the past year, and Gary is really top folks. We have people that are motivated to make our buildings which they both certainly deserve a lot of credit for. But I just needed to put my 2 cents in because I see what they do on a daily basis, and I'm certainly proud of their efforts and pleased to see what they're doing for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, it's our week. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Thanks, everybody.